investing in young people. I started at Cornerstone. I got brought on staff as a youth guy running junior high for about 17 years ago. And for the last 12 years, or for 12 years there forward, I ran our youth program over at Cornerstone. And during that whole time, my father, with a bunch of contractors, were out serving in the community. So very early on, my father dictated in me from when I was a very young kid, 11 years old. Every Saturday, he would come into my room, he would drag me out of my bed, and we'd go into the community to serve on Saturdays. It was kind of his discipline, and I was brought into it. And so from very early on, I've had this discipline of going out and volunteering on Saturdays. So I come to Cornerstone, and I'm working there, and the team's still going out. I'm going out with them on Saturdays. Well, about 8 years ago, there became a void in the organization of Servant's Heart, and we needed new leadership. And I said, you know what, I'm really passionate about this. And I started talking to my church, and they supported us. We started a 501c3, a nonprofit, and they released me basically to go out and start doing Servant's Heart. So a little bit about me. I have 8 siblings. I was brought up in an probably one of the most unique environments ever. I was brought up with about 40 people living in my house. My dad took refugees in. He took all sorts of people in from the community, and he still does that up in New York State now. And I was taught a trade very early on. I put my first roof on when I was 11 years old. Don't ask me how it turned out, but I did my first roof when I was 11. And from there, I basically had the opportunity to learn all the trades. My father and I would flip homes up in West Milford where we lived. And then my father really felt called to work with the poor. When he exited, it was a hole. John Hayboop and my father are best friends, and a lot of other people here know my father as well. And this idea of Servant's Heart is really a concept that I think is a mandate on my life. I tell people probably the story that catalyzed this for me the most was when I was 13. My Uncle Chuck, he wasn't actually my uncle, he was just a really close family friend. He died of a massive heart attack cutting his lawn at 52 years old. And as a 13-year-old boy, it was the first time that I felt a sense of grief, and I felt a sense of responsibility to step up. And I went to, at the viewing, I was 13 years old, I went over to Lynn, his wife, and I said, I'm going to cut your lawn for the rest of the summer, and from there for after. And every Saturday I would go over there and I would cut her lawn, and just think about the fact that, the 2 daughters they had no longer had a father, no longer had the ability to cut the lawn. They were either going to have to hire a landscaper if they could, or if they couldn't afford it, they had nothing to do. And so I got the tangible opportunity to use these 2 hands to bless people. And that's my MO. I want to use these 2 hands to bless people. God's given me abilities to see things, to do things. I have talents to be able to fix things, and so I want to be able to be a blessing in the community. So that's in essence what Servant's Heart is. How that translates is in really getting volunteers out of their comfort zone. So I've had the opportunity to be on probably about 35 mission trips between going to Juarez a fair amount with Ron. I went with Ron once. Been to Haiti, been to South Africa. Not as much traveling as Gordon, but I've had the opportunity to really go out and serve in the world. And one of the things I always come back with is, you can serve in the world, but what are you doing local? And our heart is really Patterson. That's pretty much where Servant's Heart lands for the most part. We've taken on this year probably about 40 projects in Patterson. Ranging from, Madison Ave Crossroads, we put 2 huge commercial bathrooms in there. We're activating their elevator, we're changing out all the commercial windows. So that's one of our projects. I'm going to show you a project here of Pamela, who was part of this Rotary group. And let me show that video so you guys get a little idea of what it is and how excited she is, and then I'll comment a little bit about some of the other projects we're on.
Johnny, can you quantify?
His heart is coming along to help us with the varsity, which is where the...
Yeah.
She had to pay for it?
Sure, yep.
Oh, Pam, I miss her.
I should have invited her this morning. She was.
His heart is coming along to help us with the parsonage, which is where the pastor lives next to the church that's been uninhabitable for 10 years. So many things were just not working. And I remember John, one of the guys, he even had his brother come. And I was sitting there looking at the brother and all the needs, and he looked in my face and he must have thought, I don't know what I look like. I must look like a ghost. He must have saw the despair in my heart and just what are we gonna do? And he was like, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. We're gonna help you. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. So I'm so grateful for Servant Heart. First for the roof that they help, and our neighbors are really grateful. We pray together. You know, we've shared some of our lives with each other, and forget the building part of it. We're building kingdom relationships. What people have and their skills and their time and whatever we give to one another. And I really believe that Servant Heart helps to knit people together. And I remember praying outside with a couple of the guys right there on the street. It was just great. You never know the impact you're making. It's not about just the building, like I said. God is doing a bigger thing. And I believe you can be part of this bigger thing if you want to. It's a great ministry. I love Servant's Heart. I love it so much. I'm going to volunteer after this job is done.
So I met Pamela actually at a prayer initiative in Patterson when she got transitioned down to Patterson, and she came to me, and I stepped into her parsonage of the church that she now pastors, and they had a roof that leaked for 9 years. The boiler in the basement, literally the whole thing had fallen apart and just the guts were sitting. That's how bad this building was. Mold everywhere. It was disgusting. And I said, Pamela, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. Came in. I said, we're not quite ready to help you yet. We need a couple of projects we need to finish. I said, and so she's like, no, we're starting. So she got some of her church people, and they started taking it all apart. I dropped the dumpster off there, and they would take it apart on the weekends. So when we showed up to help her in November, she had already started with some of her churches. They were so excited. So they had gotten prices to do this parsonage roof, just the roof alone. They got a price of $18,000 to put a new roof on this parsonage. And I was able to get roofers to come in there and do it for $9,000. And we started a capital to start raising the capital with them and start this initiative. So anyway, our budget for this house is $38,000 for all the materials to fix up her home. Most people laugh when I say that. It's hard. I got a free boiler, got a free hot water heater out of a house here in Franklin Lakes, and we just kind of work backwards. We put a plan together. John's been great about giving us recycled materials out of some of the houses they take down. So we try and get recycled materials and put them in, and we basically work backwards. I work with a lot of plumbers, a lot of electricians, a lot of unskilled people, a lot of engineers. My brother-in-law is an engineer for Land Associates. He's on our board as well, and he heads up a project every weekend. And then Tim's on staff with us. Tim Brolin, he came on in October. He's been a huge blessing to helping us continue to take on more and more projects. So a Pamela's project, full value to fix that house up would be easily $180,000 to $200,000. We're doing it with a $38,000 budget. That at the end of the day. So we take on projects. Madison Ave Crossroads, we did a stage, we did 5 classrooms, we did 2 commercial bathrooms, elevator, easily $500,000 worth of work by the time the year's over. It'll probably be $100,000 worth of material by the time the year's over. So we get involved in a lot of big projects. We get involved in some small projects. Yesterday I was at a house in Passaic for a senior citizen couple. That he's an Army vet. They had to evict him if they didn't fix some things in the house. The porch was falling down. So we worked with the demo company that I work closely. They took the roof down safely. I brought volunteers in. We dispose of it in our trucks. I have a chimney guy that's putting a new liner in, trying to get the hot water heater going, to try and get, so we work with a lot of different individuals, and we work with a lot of different organizations. Our core values, I just want to kind of spend a little time talking about, because I think what makes us unique is that we really try hard I don't know if you're familiar with the CCDA model, which is really the community development model, which is really instilling in leaders in a community. So one of my main jobs is I go out and I look for what I think are leaders in a community that care about their community, that are under-resourced or underprivileged. And we come alongside them with love, empowerment, training, and serving. So those are our 4 core values. Loving, one of the things I think that's unique about what we do is I think our love is really genuine and sincere. Obviously, being bivocational, being a pastor as well, I have a real heart to love people where they're at and to take them and not leave them there, but to be able to empower them. To be able to empower them, to be able to do the change in their heart. So a person like Pamela, we all know she has a vibrant love for her community. She has incredible potential to help her community. She doesn't know the first thing about building, and her facilities are a mess. a mess. Her church, we didn't even show pictures of her church. She has stained glass on her church that's been falling out for years. The wind blows and the stained glass falls out. And so, how do you do that? They become overwhelmed, they do nothing. They become paralyzed, which ultimately paralyzes the church. And so we come alongside and try and really take them through the steps of what it means to have a building and your building to be a resource that you can use to help your community. So the empowerment concept is really important for us, that we're able to help them through that process of saying, you know what, that's a bad idea. Don't invest your time and energy into do that. Just take it down. Or, hey, we can rehab that. Let's save that. Those complicated questions. The training element. The training element to us has been really fun because we get to work. So one of the guys that's out volunteering right now this morning, he 38 years with Pfizer. He did finance his whole life. He started 12 years ago with John and my dad going out and volunteering on Saturdays. Today, if I left him in a room for you, he could sheetrock the room, he could do some minor plumbing for it, he could do electric if he needed to, he could spackle it, he could paint it, and he could put the trim on. This is 12 years of volunteering with us every Saturday, and the last 2 years retiring and going out 6 days a week. 2,500 hours he volunteered last year with us to help us continue to launch into the community every day. So we got him a vehicle, he's fully tooled, he's out every day serving. So this morning he's out taking a bathroom apart for an individual family to help rehab that. So every day he's out there helping. And our goal is to train, to not only teach, maybe the average homeowner a little bit more about their home so they can be better equipped to care for their home, but also to help people be able to use these things to bless their neighbors, to bless their community. People say, how do you vet? How do you do it? I said, well, if somebody called me and said, my neighbor needs windows and I really have a heart to help them, I said, are you willing to go there and put the windows in? Well, I don't know how to put a window in. Well, what if I sent somebody that knew how to put a window in? You're going to be there. You're going to help hold the window. You're going to take the old window out. You're going to bring lunch. You're going to help too. And it's going to make you the hero, not just us the hero. And I think that's our heart. Our heart is to make local people the heroes. Pamela needs to be the hero of her community, not me. I don't live in her community. I want to be the hero of my house, and I want to be the hero of my community. And I think our heart is to go into Patterson with an objective to serve humbly and to do that. I want to ask John to come up and talk a little bit about his experience with serving, because John has been serving with Servant's Heart for so many years, and has been really a lot of fun to work with, and has been a real inspiration to me, bringing a level of skill to Servant's Heart. Because as you can understand, when you work with unskilled people, you need skilled people to come alongside and coach and train. So John, would you come up and talk about the last core value, which is serving, and how that's worked for you, and then I'll wrap us up. I'm talking quick because I have a lot, and we don't have a lot of time.
Well, we're preaching to the choir when we talk to Rotary about serving. I looked up Rotary on my computer, which I've never done before, and I looked up in their core values, every sentence, I wish I brought it with me, every sentence the word service was in. Rotary is all about service. So I ask you, where do you get your service heart from? We call it servant's heart because we're serving the Lord when we go to do what we do. I grew up a lot like Johnny did, where my dad we didn't learn construction, but I was raised with a grandfather and a father who were all about the church and serving the church's community. And what I wanted, I would sit there with my dad and what I'll call my Dutch uncles, even though I'm not Dutch.
Yeah.
But these men, awesome men, that were funny when it was time to be funny. They were hardworking when it was time to be hardworking. Their wives were alongside of them, cooking the meals, working with us, painting, doing whatever they had to do. But ever since I was a little kid, I sat behind those men when they were talking, and I wanted what they had. I got what they had. All I had to do was stay with them. It became a discipline, which is huge. Johnny talked about discipline. It became, and it's all the things that when you start comparing the service, love thy neighbor as thyself, all you got to do is go right back to your Bible and you understand what God has for our lives. And to me, I like to have fun when I work. I happen to love what I do, so it's really that term they say, if you love what you do, you really never work a day in your life. I really, really feel that way. Even when it stinks, I love it. And I truly believe I'm blessed that way. But you try to you can't tell other people how to feel. You have to understand where they come from, what their goals are in life. But a heart of service or serving others is what I truly believe brings us joy in our life. And everyone in this room, I could say, what do you really feel like after a day of serving? You're going to say, better than any other day I have. So that to me is what service is all about. It's the joy. God created us all the same, but all different. We all have different skills, as John was saying. And the different skills is what makes us need each other. We become each other's resource. And to me, you know, in my life, it's the important things: God, family, health, and everybody else. Money's way down here as a resource. We need each other as the resource, and that's what gets things done. Knowing, you know, so many of you in here have so many people you know that you help get things done with the resources that we have. But God created us all the same, but we all have different skills. And I truly believe that when we use what He blessed us with to use, that's what brings us our true joy in our life. And joy and happiness are two separate things. People try to be happy. To me, it's try to be joyful, because joyful is when you give to others, and we go to bless, we get blessed. By the end of the day, I'm getting in my truck. You ever have these days? I explain it to people like this. One, it's like no different than playing softball with your buddies. You're with all your friends, you're doing something, you're working hard, you're sweating, you're getting hurt a little bit sometimes, you're getting cut, but at the end of the day, it was all worth it, because you did it with people with like minds and especially like hearts. And so that's it. I mean, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here, because you're all terrific people, and you're all service-minded. And servant's heart is just another avenue for that.
So a little bit in closing where we're heading. So right now I have a waiting list of about 10 people waiting for us to help them. We're on pretty big projects. So Eric's heading up a project up at Shiloh Bible Camp up in West Milford. We're putting in an indoor pool facility. We're putting in a 40 by 40 large storage facility for a camp that does a lot of stuff with kids. We're putting a deck extension. That project's going to basically be taking out Eric for the next 2 years on a project with volunteers out there. And we have big projects happening in Patterson. Pamela's just being one of them. We're at Northside Christian Reformed Church, helping them do windows throughout their building, putting a commercial hood in. And again, we work with locals. We work with local, Reiner and 1 Hour Air and Kukin has been a huge support, and Wayne Tile's been a huge support. And we get a lot of support from local contractors. Dwayne Legwater, Van Atta, all these guys come alongside to help us succeed. And I try to spread out and not tax one. These chimney guys, I have chimney guys I got to get, because everybody needs a chimney to work nowadays. It's become a big thing. And so, you work with local guys. And so I think one of the ways that we're trying to expand our footprint is to continue to build relationships with more people that have the heart to help, but don't have the abilities to know where to help and how to help. And so the vetting process, we're trying to bring more people on staff with us so that we can continue to offer skilled volunteered help that really blesses people. So that's part of our expansion. The other part of our expansion is we're trying to really up our training facilities. And so one of my dreams is for this year, we're looking at some real estate that we're gonna be buying and hopefully having a local presence, that we could do some local training seminars where we can bring in people that want to learn, and have a guy like Ron come and teach some of the basics, how to turn the water off in your house and why you should turn the water off and what that looks like and how your heat system might work, to teach some classes. And then from there, offer internships. So I have some possibly internships happening, and some housing opportunities to bring young people on with us. My heart would be to get some Pattersonians on the team with us down the road as well. So we're working with that. So that's a little bit where we're heading. And any questions as I wrap it up? I mean, I kind of blew through it really quickly, but thank you for inviting us here this morning. I really do, I think I am speaking to the choir, I know that, but thank you for hearing us and continuing to help us move forward. So.